All right, so today we're going to talk about parallel lines. So the biggest thing for us to remember is that parallel lines have the same slope. So if we were to draw our parallel lines, they're kind of like railroad tracks, and because they have the same slope, they are never going to cross. And so those are the big things that we need to remember when we talk about parallel lines. So if we look at this problem here, I need to write the equation of a line that goes through the point 0, -3, and it's parallel to this equation here. So parallel means same slope. And so I need to find the slope of the equation that I'm given. So the slope of the equation that I'm given is 1/4 because it's written in y equals mx plus b. So now I'm going to very quickly show you two different ways to solve this and two different ways to write our equation in y equals mx plus b. Because we know our m is 1/4 and we know our x is there, but now we have to find b. So that's our next step. That's what we have to do next. So the easiest way to find b is to take y equals mx plus b and to take our point 0, -3 and label our points. So my 0 is x, my y is -3, and we've already said that our m is 1/4. So I'm going to take my y and plug it in there. I'm going to take my x and plug it in there, and I'm going to take my slope and plug it in there. So now I'm going to have -3 equals my slope is 1/4, my x is 0, and then we're looking for b, so I'm going to leave the letter b right there. So parentheses tell me to multiply, so I'm going to multiply or distribute the 1/4. So anything times 0 is 0, so -3 equals b. So now, when I have my equation up here, we're going to write add -3 to our slope. So our final answer, I'm sorry, it's kind of buried and hidden there, is right there. So that's the easiest way, is to find your x, find your y, find your slope, plug them in, and then find your b. The other way that we can do this is that we can use point-slope form. And again, this just becomes a personal preference. Which one do you like best? So y minus y1 equals mx minus x1. So this x becomes x1 and the y becomes y1, and my slope is still my slope. So we do y minus -3. Let me actually write the number. Equals, my m is 1/4, x minus, and then 0. So now I distribute my 1/4, and then my double negatives becomes positive, so y plus 3 equals 1/4 x. 1/4 times 0 is 0, so I'm not going to put it down. And then my last step is I need to move my 3 to the other side. And so my final answer is y equals 1/4 x minus 3. And again, no matter which way you do it, you're going to get the same answer. All right, so when these problems get a little bit harder, they're going to look like this. They're going to give us the equation in standard form. So the first thing that we have to do is we have to find our slope. So we have to turn it to y equals. So I'm going to subtract 8x from that side, subtract 8x there, cancels, 2y equals -8x plus 20. And then I need to divide by the number in front of y, and I divide by everything. So y equals a -8 divided by 2 is -4, and 20 divided by 2 is 10. So the slope of our parallel line is going to be -4. Okay, they tell me that the y-intercept is -8, so that means that my point becomes 0, -8. And that's my x, and that's my y. So now we're going to take y equals mx plus b. We're going to plug in our x. So our x is going to go there. We're going to plug in our y, and then we're going to plug in our m. So my y is -8 equals my m is -4, and then my x is 0, and then we do plus b. So again, anything times 0 is 0, so I'm left with negative 8 equals b. So my equation is y equals, we said our slope is negative 4. We always put the x next to our slope, and we just found our b, which is negative 8. So just one last little thing to put in our things to remember is we need to find the slope. Then we need to find our point. And then our next step is we need to plug the slope and point into y equals mx plus b. And then our last step is we solve for b. And then my choice is just a place for you to put another problem as you're working and as you're doing things.